The Coffee Table is a Spanish film that came out in the year 2022. Initially, see, it went through a bunch of festivals and it actually won Best Movie at a couple of those festivals as well. But a lot of people don't actually know that it exists because over the years it's just been slowly trickling down the system. It's been going from country to country to country. And finally, now in the United States, you can see this movie on a couple of streaming platforms such as Tubi TV as well as Amazon Prime. The reason why I know this is because I was just kind of scrolling through social media feeds, specifically TikTok, where just a whole bunch of these people were reacting to the movie because they just saw it recently, and a lot of them were giving it the WTF rating as well as just highly suggesting people avoid it at all costs. Now me, being the good reverse psychology student that I am, curiosity knows no bounds, and I couldn't help myself. I had to check it out. But one thing that I knew about it was that you have to go into this movie as blind as humanly possible. Normally, I don't mind watching a movie as blind as humanly possible, but this one, you didn't really know what you were going to expect. So that's what I did, but I didn't do it alone. I reached out to Rashad from Rashad G Reviews to join in this quest with me, in this adventure, in this challenge. And I made sure to tell him, do me a favor, go in as blind as humanly possible. That's what I'm doing. Don't even look up the plot. Don't look up the genres. Don't look up anything but the title on Tubi TV or Prime or wherever you're gonna watch it, because that's what I'm doing. And he accepted the challenge, and we're gonna hear what he thought about this movie in just a hot second. But the wildest thing is that we could have both loved it, we could have both hated it, one of us could have loved it, one of us could have hated it. It was all up in the air. So without further ado, let's go ahead and talk about what this movie ultimately is. The Coffee Table focuses on a couple with a newborn infant that are just starting their family, and they're going through the motions. They're trying to find some furniture for their home together, and the movie literally starts out with them trying to decide on if they should buy this quote-unquote coffee table or not. The coffee table in question is ugly. The wife hates it. But the husband's like, you know what? You make all the decisions anyway. You make the decisions on what color we paint the walls, what my son's name is. You decided we should have a kid now when I wasn't ready. And it was like having this fight in the furniture store right next to the salesman. And the salesman's like, oh no, this table is perfect. It's gonna bring you nothing but happy memories. Nothing can go wrong. And whenever you have a movie that references this idea of nothing can go wrong, you kind of get an idea of what the rest of the movie is going to entail. Something's gonna go wrong, but just how wrong is the question. Anyways, the guy ends up buying the table. Anyway, he finds out that there's a screw missing in the instruction manual, so he can't fully put the thing together as he wanted to. And from there, all hell breaks loose. I can't really tell you anything much more about it without completely spoiling the entire movie, but just to kind of give you an idea here. Something obviously goes wrong, and it's a very, very bad thing that happens. And you as the audience member are going to feel it in your core. It's going to be disturbing, it's gonna feel awful, and to make things worse, for the next hour 15 minutes after this event happens, the initial inequity, whenever that happens, the rest of the movie is like pouring salt on a wound and just making things worse. Not even kidding. If you thought Uncut Gems was a highly tense and anxiety-ridden film that had your heart pumping out of your chest the entire time, this movie makes Uncut Gems feel like an episode of Sesame Street. Just saying. So if you're somebody that actually loved Uncut Gems and you want to see more kind of like it, look no further. Now, neither I nor Rashad are going to directly spoil what happens in this movie. However, there's a very good chance that we are going to indirectly spoil you based off of what we say. That is because this movie really is the type of movie that you kind of have to watch as blind as humanly possible. That's not a joke, because any review of this movie is saying too much. So keep that in mind. If you want to see the movie as blind as humanly possible, please shut off the review now, go watch it if you dare, and then come back after you see it. If you have any interest in seeing it at all, go watch it now, because honestly, anything that we say from this point forward is just going to give a little bit too much away, and you deserve to watch it as it is, as awful as it can be. With that being said, I want to give off some of my positives about the film, because in general, the film is made well. That's one thing that you kind of have to keep in mind. This is a very divisive film. It's going to upset a lot of people. They are going to want to turn the movie off, I don't know, like a half hour in or so. But it's a perfect example of a movie that you can watch even if you're not a critic and appreciate the way that it's made. There's a lot of good stuff going on: cinematography, editing, pacing, the way that things are built up overall. It's actually really, really well done. The performances as well, extremely good. It's raw emotion, raw human emotion throughout the runtime of the film that will impress you. This is a quality film. It does make sense to me from a technical level why it won a couple of Best Movie awards at the film festival circuit. But a lot of people are going to look into the movie and notice that the genre is horror and comedy, so they're going to immediately think, oh, what is this? A haunted coffee table? Ooh, how funny, how scary. No, it's not like that. The entire film does not crack a single joke, at least not in the way that you're used to films cracking jokes. It's not funny, it's incredibly deep. The subject matter is horrifying, it's very realistic, like this is something that could actually happen, as well as how the human brain reacts to such things that it can't really comprehend, and it does things that you personally never thought you would be capable of. But it's just that it's the human brain, right? It's the human condition can do so much that you would never believe. That's what this movie is. So why is it called comedy? Because it is what's referred to as the hidden comedy. There's not a lot of these movies out there, but there are a few that I have seen where the subject matter and the plot and the narrative plays out incredibly seriously, and everybody does a great job with their performances, and it's emotional, and it's all of this. But if you're actually paying attention to what's actually happening, the way that it's happening, and the ridiculousness of ultimately what happens over and over and over again, that is the hidden comedy part. That's the part that's going to subconsciously hit you while you watch the film, and it's going to make you want to laugh. And you're going to feel uncomfortable watching what's happening in the movie, because a lot of uncomfortable things happen during the movie. A lot of horrific, horrible things happen in the movie. But you're going to feel ashamed of yourself because you're also going to want to laugh at these things, and you won't even know why. Because subconsciously, the hidden comedy part of the movie is going to attack that part of your brain that makes you want to laugh, which is part of its brilliance. It is the darkest of dark comedy films that I've ever seen in my entire life. If I'm forced to think about other comedies or other hidden comedies, only really one comes to mind, and that was The Art of Self-Defense with Jesse Eisenberg, which was a movie that focused a lot on like a taekwondo or karate or some kind of martial arts class. And there was a subplot regarding around crime, criminal activities, and a lot of things that actually happen are pretty serious, but the way they go about things and some of the things that they say are beyond bonkers, but they say it with complete seriousness and a deadpan expression. And that's what made me laugh so much with that movie. This didn't affect me as much as that did, but as a critic, I appreciate a lot of what's going on here. But without further ado, let's go ahead and hear what Rashad had to say about this movie. Take it away, Rashad.
All right, Dave, what's the deal? Pickles, is everything kosher? So, brother, you made me nervous at first because I thought you was going to have me watch some Twilight movies again, and I'd rather eat cat shit with a knit needle than to watch those movies again. I was going to give you a strong hell no. But instead, you got me watching a movie called The Coffee Table. And before I get into my review, I just want to tell a quick story. You know, Uncle Rashad with a quick story. So I was watching my son, and this is the reason why I'm telling this story. I was watching my son when he was an infant, right? He was really small, and it was just me and him. And I was watching some movie, and he was watching with me, right? He was just, you know, doing what little babies do, where they can't keep their head balanced, and he was doing, you know. And at the time, I'm not the most tidiest person in the world. There was like a piece to like the button when you button your pants up. There was like the little metal piece that the fastener or whatever. It was somehow got on my couch. My son picked it up because he's got roach antennas for junk. And he picked this little metal piece up and threw it in his mouth. And I'm watching the movie oblivious to what he's doing. And I kind of felt him go like, ah. I said, oh shit. So I looked down and I see the metal piece getting ready to go down his throat. So I said, oh shit. So I did a quick move where because I was holding him like this, and I popped him in the back of the head real quick, and that shit said, pew, and shot right out. I said, whew, almost lost you today, didn't I, son? I tell that story to say that dads can be the worst babysitters in the world. Not all dads, okay? Not all dads, but I say about 85% of us are terrible at babysitting. So this movie, it felt like it was made by somebody who had like a fever dream or something, like their worst fear coming true in the form of a movie. This is a foreign-made movie. This was in Spanish. And foreign movies go places where American movies can't dare to go, because I think a lot of times studios won't let them go there. Like, there's no way Warner Brothers, Universal, or any major studio, I don't even know if A24 would allow this movie to go there with where they went with this movie. There's times where this movie is shocking, but then there's times where I'm like, I don't want to laugh at this shit, but I almost want to laugh. And I gotta say this about the wife too, man. Please forgive me, but I had to mute it one time. There was a scene where she was laughing hysterically for, it felt like at least 3 minutes, man. And she has like one of those laughs where like I could smell the cigarette smoke on her. Like she had the yellow tobacco teeth, you know what I mean? And she was like just had she reminded me of a coworker I had back in the day who smoked a lot of cigarettes, and she came in sounding like Marge Simpson's sister, you know. I would say, hey, good morning, Sherry. Hey, boo, how you doing? I brought some shepherd's pie from home, honey. You want to try some? Nah, Sherry, I'm okay. Okay, hon, but if you need some, I'll have it wrapped up in the fridge for you. I would never eat shepherd's pie from Sherry. Like she walked in smelling of pure nicotine. I could smell the nicotine through the screen whenever this chick was laughing. Okay, it was just, and I'm almost like, you impregnated that? Anyway, the coffee table. Yeah. So yeah, the whole gist of this movie is, you know, the coffee table, this ugly ass table, is the cause of some crazy ass bizarre shit that happens that is very tragic. That's all I can say about this movie. It was well made. The pacing was kind of driving me crazy. Like, it got to a point where I did want to fast forward. I did want to just get to just wanted to fast forward to when he finally reveals what the hell he did and the reaction after that. And does the payoff work? Kinda. When it ended, I said, the coffee table. There you go. There's even some disturbing shit here where I'm like, why is this in the movie? You know what I'm saying? Like this is the main thing about the movie, and then it goes into pedophilia, and then it goes into the guy that sold the table. He was hinting that he was like homosexual, trying to hit on the guy that bought the table from him. The coffee table. This was an interesting watch. I'm not gonna say fascinating, but this was one of those what the fuck type movies. Disturbing at times. They had a thing where they like to zoom in on people eating and food getting shoved into the mouth, or you see like a shard of glass slowly being pulled out the hand with thick ass jelly looking blood. I'm like, I've never seen blood that thick before. The coffee table. I guess I can give it a C. It's not a terrible movie, but a movie that left me kind of, watching this movie is almost like watching like these new AI videos now where your brain really can't quite process what the hell you're watching. It's weird, but you can't say whether you dislike it or not. You know what I mean? Because I almost wanted to laugh at this movie, but the subject matter was not funny. But why I find myself like wondering, I guess because how ridiculous it is and how it just came out of left field. And The Coffee Table. Dave, thank you for inviting me for this collab. I'm sorry I didn't give an in-depth review, and I'm pretty sure you're gonna give it that intelligence that it needs. But I'm sorry I can't think of anything intelligent to say about this movie. The Coffee Table. That's it and that's all. I'm out.
Thank you to Rashad for joining me once again on one of my reviews of The Coffee Table. Yeah, this is a very hard movie to discuss. It's hard to reveal too much because you kind of want to. It's one of those movies where you just feel so pulled to discuss it. It's also one of those movies that kind of sticks with you for a long time for both good reasons and for bad. But I think for the most part, you and I do agree with the movie. I probably appreciate it just a little bit more because those TikToks that warned me not to see it did kind of suggest that it was this hidden comedy thing, and that's the thing that actually pulled me in to watch it the most. I didn't want to tell Rashad this when I asked him to watch it with me. I wanted to see his gut instinct when he watched it, if he saw anything humorous at all. Because a lot of people watch it and they just don't. They're like really mad, saying it's basically false advertising, it's not humorous, it's not a comedy at all. And I wanted to see what Rashad had to say, and I am so happy that he said he felt bad because he wanted to laugh at it, because that's it. That's the subliminal part of the movie that makes you want to laugh. And it's hard to explain. It's really, really hard to explain what they do here because it is subliminal. But they do such a good job with it. Also, because of that I gotta say, they deserved those accolades from those film festivals for a bunch of different reasons. I get it. But is it my cup of tea? Not exactly. Do I ever want to watch it again? Not exactly. I mean, I could say the same thing about Uncut Gems. I thought the Uncut Gems was made really, really well. But have I ever seen it again other than the one time? No. And while Rashad had a problem with the pacing, I didn't. It is uncomfortable. And that's the point. Rashad had a problem with the hysterical laughing of the woman. I didn't, because again, this was a part of the maybe not so subliminal part of making the audience try to laugh, because this is so messed up that she's laughing, and you kind of want to laugh with her because it is so messed up and so bonkers that this is the situation, and watching you're like, you know? My main problem actually came down to some ages. The main actress here, who's playing the wife or the newborn's mother, she's old. Like, she should be in menopause or later. I am not entirely sure how she just gave birth, but maybe that's part of the hilarity of the film and the obscurity. Like, they don't even touch on her age, at least very little. But Rashad is definitely right. You could smell the cigarette smoke and the nicotine just spewing from her mouth every time that she speaks. She's got a very gravelly voice, so when she is hacking up a lung when she's trying to laugh during these scenes, it is obnoxious. But this is the type of movie that I guarantee you is trying its darndest to make you uncomfortable and to make you hate it. And it's doing a pretty good job. So overall, what do I rate it? Honestly, I'll go higher than Rashad. I won't go fully into the A realm, even though a lot of people have. A lot of people are like, technically it did what it wanted to do, and technically it made a movie that was made well, and technically a lot of that subliminal stuff is brilliant, and I agree with all of that. But I don't know, it's just the part of me that's like, I never want to see this movie again, that has me rating it in the B+ realm. I'm not gonna go into the A's, I'm just gonna go B+. It deserves that much. It's just so weird. It's just a weird movie. Because yes, it's kind of realistic, and it's tragic, and it's horrible and horrifying. It's nightmare fuel inducing at times, but Do I recommend this to others? Or am I gonna be like those on TikTok and other platforms and I'm gonna be like, avoid this at all costs? I'm not gonna say that because I don't wanna be the reverse psychology person that makes somebody else watch it. However, I will say it's going to completely depend on the person and the length that they are willing to watch movies go for their narrative. Because there are things that happen in this movie that I appreciate from a filmmaking standpoint, things that I appreciate from a narrative standpoint, from an editing standpoint, all of this. But if I weren't a critic and I didn't do this all the time, I would be saying something else about the movie. And I think the mass majority of people that just watch movies to watch movies may not appreciate the same things that I appreciate with this film. So it completely depends on who you are as a person if you're going to enjoy this or hate it. So take that with a grain of salt, I guess. But guys, have you seen The Coffee Table? If you have, please leave your thoughts about it in the comment section down below. As for YouTube, you guys know what to do. Hit the like, subscribe button, and bell to be notified when I come out with my next review. And until then, peace!